Now, as the Washington State Supreme Court prepares to weigh in this week on the constitutionality of a portion of the newly signed income tax on high earners, another high net worth Washingtonian is making plans to potentially relocate his business and his home. We're talking about Principal and Chief Investment Officer at Bulwark Capital Management, Zach Abraham, who, in an interview with the Center Square today, told me this is the final blow for him. Of course, they've got B&O and other high taxes on business. He said they paid between $300,000 and $350,000 in taxes just for his little business last year to the state of Washington. And now we have potentially the millionaire's tax, if it's not overturned or repealed by voters, going to impact his business. And he says that will be the final blow for him. That will be the final blow. This is, again, I'll remind you, a 9.9% tax at this point on income in excess of $1 million or combined household income in excess of $1 million for 2028 earnings, taxes that would have to be paid for the first time in 2029 in the state of Washington. But reminder, and if you watch our podcast, you know that a lot of folks in the small business community have been kind of ringing the bell going, this isn't just going to be millionaires. I'm not a millionaire. I own a business that operates as a pass-through entity, and this is going to hurt me as well and potentially put me out of business. So I want to play part of my interview today with Zach Abraham of Bulwark Capital.
The income tax was really a dividing line for me on a bunch of different levels. First of all, as a business owner, where my entire life, my largest investments, my business, my employees' lives are all in this state. And when you start, and this is something that I know for a fact, talking to enough people, this is one of the deleterious aspects of having lawyers run large organizations, is that they're smart enough and accomplished enough for other people to think they're smart, yet virtually none of them have had any experience creating, building, or running anything. And so there's this, like, for instance, something they don't understand is not only are a lot more people going to leave than they think, they're not going to be able to get any outside investing in Washington-based companies. And the reason why is not vindictive. It's the same reason my buddy that is, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to put him on blast, but he was senior partner at one of the largest VC funds in Seattle, and they've left. And he and I were having a conversation. He goes, Zach, not only can we not stay here, we can't fund any companies that are incorporated here. And the reason why is you just broke the contract. What are you going to break next? I can't trust you. You know what I mean? And when you break the laws, you don't understand because you're not business people and you're business and financially illiterate. It's not that we want to leave to stick it in your eye. It's that we can't invest here, right? You've tied our hands. And so not only are you going to get a giant outflow of capital, you will have no new businesses formed here. They can keep lying to themselves and telling themselves Starbucks is staying. They're gone. They're gone. And if you go look at the deal that Tennessee gave them, once again, they have a fiduciary responsibility to move their company. They can't justify to shareholders why they'd stay here.
One of the big issues for Zach Abraham in our interview today, he told me, was the fact that lawmakers really have sidestepped the voters in all of this, attaching that referendum clause, making it necessity for the state budget, which precludes a referendum unless Brian Haywood and Let's Go Washington are successful at the state Supreme Court this week, precludes a referendum challenge to this from voters. He said basically this is a contract breach as far as he is concerned. And he said, when you break the law, you don't understand, because you're not business people, these are his words, that, you break the law, that's it. That state constitution is our contract, and now you've broken that. And he is convinced that this is going to deter future investment in the state of Washington. And he said not only will there be a giant outflow of capital, but no new business forming here. And for him, he says this is very much a moral issue as well.
Not only am I not going to let you illegally trample over my rights and violate the contract that we both that we both have adhered to. But I'm not going to then watch you do that and take those ill-gotten gains and support things that hurt the people that I love, right? I'm not going to watch you give kids life-altering surgeries without parental consent with my tax dollars. Not doing it. And it's just reached a point, right, where I've probably cut them too much deference because this is my home and it's where I was raised. But, I answer to not just my family, but I answer to God. And I'm looking at this going, I can't sit here and do this. I can't. You've tied my hands. This is a bridge too far. You do this. You think it's a threat. It's not a threat. Like, and that's the funny thing that they don't get because they're lawyers, because they've never accomplished anything, because they've never built anything. And I'm not denigrating lawyers. I'm just saying that we have a saying in the investment business: when the CPAs and the lawyers start running the company, sell, right? Just
Yeah.
because that's not what they do, right? That's not what they do. Everything is a legal negotiation. So when you take that application to something like, running a state, like, shocker, the state's a mess.
Now, on Thursday, Let's Go Washington's challenge to the Secretary of State refusing to process a referendum to the income tax. Um, that is going before the state Supreme Court. We're going to be there. We'll bring you exclusive coverage. So, Brian Haywood of Let's Go Washington shared with me why he thinks this is such a critical fight for him, not just, as somebody who's going to be subjected to the millionaire's tax in Washington, but more than that, the principle of what state lawmakers did in crafting the income tax bill.
And I found that this last session, when they were taking questions and they were asked about, well, aren't you concerned about the constitutionality of what you're proposing? And their response was, well, that's for the courts to decide. And I have never heard such a shameful um, shirking of responsibility. These are elected officials who are sworn to uphold the Constitution. And you don't make laws by going, hey, we're just going to make up rules as we go, and then we'll let the courts decide whether it's legal or not. I think their first priority should be making laws that are within the bounds of the Constitution. That should be uh, job number one, is to, whatever you do, it should be within the bounds of the Constitution. And if you happen to overstep and the court checks you on it, that's a check and a balance. But you shouldn't start out with saying, Calvin ball, we're going to make up whatever rules we want anytime we want. And this is, to me, this is a really important safeguard that needs to be in the Constitution. Is in the Constitution. It needs to be upheld.
So, again, a reminder, Haywood's case and Let's Go Washington and their appeal to the state Supreme Court is being heard in an expedited case before the full state Supreme Court on Thursday, and we will be there.